everyone. Welcome to another Wellness Wednesday. My name is Cori Cassady. I'll be your host this evening. I am from the Central Valley here in the United States, and I want to say good evening to Asia and good morning, I should say, in our tomorrow, and good evening here in the United States and abroad. I'm excited this evening. I have some special guests with Dr. Fred Williams, who'll be joining today as our health pro, and some great testimonials. And over the next 45 minutes, we're really excited to just share a little bit more about why this product line and everything encased with it, with its absorption and curation and all the pillars of 3, has really made an outstanding difference in the lives of humanity. So without further ado, what I'd love to do is introduce to you from St. Louis, Missouri, tonight, our health pro, Dr. Fred Williams.
Hello, everybody around the world. Welcome. I hope over the next.
Dr. Fred.
Hi.
I wanted to introduce you properly with accolades, letting you know, you graduated from Johns Hopkins Medical School, and you've been a leading physician in Chesterfield, Missouri, specializing in gastroenterology and liver disease for over 30 years, right?
Correct.
That's amazing. And you were an officer in the United States Air Force, so that's amazing. Thank you for your service. And now I've heard from just getting to talk to you off camera for a little bit that you really have a passion for phytonutrients as well as a focus on sourcing, absorption. And so I'm excited tonight for what you have to share here with us.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. You first, Dr. Fred, why did you choose your medical specialty? I mean, the area of practice of what made you enter gastroenterology?
What I really liked about it were 2 major things, or actually 3 major things. One is that you not only have a chance to be in the office seeing patients and practicing medicine, but on top of it, we also do a lot of procedures. So there was kind of a combination of those 2 things. Second is, don't really think about it, but we take care of more organs than any other specialty. We have the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, colon, liver, pancreas, and gallbladder. So there's a variety of different illnesses we deal with. And then my last thing that I've always enjoyed about GI is that, obviously being GI, we deal a lot with nutrition, which I think is really the basic part of health.
Okay, well, that's fascinating. In your profession currently, give me some challenges. What do you face from what are the challenges, I guess, that help you become the most effective in your profession, currently?
Well, I think the biggest problem with conventional medicine, and I'd say, Western medicine, but I think it's true throughout the world, is that we've come to rely too much on reactive medicine. We wait for something to happen to someone, and then we try to figure out a way to pull them out of the fire. And, we also, along those lines, is we're very pharmaceutically based, which, many pharmaceuticals have wonderful effects. I am not anti-pharmaceutical at all. But the point is, what we really should be doing in medicine is trying to keep people healthy and prevent them from having these problems. Not only is that best for people, but it's best for society. When you look at the literally trillions of dollars we spend around the world on healthcare, and regardless of what society, what country you live in, how much of that probably can be prevented through just good health, nutrition, other lifestyle type of things. So I think we're kind of on the wrong track. And that's probably what I find most frustrating about medicine.
Do you see any opportunities that on the horizon maybe that might help you be more efficient maybe as a medical professional?
Yes, and I think a couple of things. People are starting to figure this out. People are realizing that this system is not working. They realize that, speaking for the United States, we are sicker, heavier now than we've ever been, and we spend more money per capita taking care of people than probably any country in the world. So we're getting sicker, and yet we're spending more money. And I think so. The first thing I find encouraging is that there is a growing number of people who are saying, wait a minute, this is not working. What do I need to do? What does my family need to do to get better? And I think, again, it gets back to all the basic areas of health and nutrition, nutrition, lifestyle, exercise, not smoking, getting plenty of sleep, reducing stress. So I think those are, very, very important, but also part of the reason we are here tonight is I found that the 3 products meld very well into that, because they just in so many ways help to improve people's health and nutrition.
Okay, well, on that note, what's your favorite 3 product?
That is hard to say, but I'd have to say, as a fairly active guy, I work out with a bunch of guys several times a week in the morning, and then frequently ride my bike or go hiking. I'm a big fan of the Revive. It's a wonderful anti-inflammatory, and I find that I have these pretty difficult workouts, and the next morning I'm ready to go. I'm very rarely, if ever, sore, and a lot of the other guys are like, "Man, I'm feeling horrible this morning," and I really attribute that to just the fact that the various anti-inflammatory nutrients that are in there, such as black cumin seed, curcumin, boswellia, the mushroom blend, they really do cut down on inflammation. And besides just, as a quote unquote athlete, and I don't think I'd really call myself an athlete, maybe more just someone who works out a lot, that this is also wonderful for people who have various kinds of inflammatory issues. It just tends to help cut down on those. So that is probably my favorite, but I think it's one of those things like kind of saying, well, which one of your kids is your favorite? I mean, I think all of them have their place and their benefits, and but that probably for me is most important. And the last thing I'll say on that is, so many people treat their aches and pains with so-called NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Those things have some significant effects on the long or negative effects on the long term. They can increase your risk of liver injury, kidney injury. One of the things I see a lot, or not a lot, but not infrequently, is intestinal bleeding from stomach ulcers from those drugs. So they are not completely benign. So though they do cut down on pain, there's no doubt about that. They have a lot of potential side effects, whereas we kind of do the same thing with our Revive, and we actually make you healthier, not less healthy. So that I think it's just an overall wonderful product.
Awesome. Okay. So let's switch a little bit to the personal life of Dr. Fred Williams, because I heard you say mountain biking. So I hear you're an avid mountain biker and that you love to grow like organic things and you have chickens, and tell me a little bit about that.
Well, for years now, I've had a large, pretty good sized organic farm in my backyard with a lot of raised beds, and I have 8 chickens now, and they're laying like crazy now. And then also for about the last 10 years, we've had honeybees. So we've kind of got a little mini farm in the backyard, which I get a great amount of enjoyment from, and a good amount of food. But what I like about it is, I don't use any kind of chemicals. It's all naturally done. And, quite frankly, sometimes I may get a pest infestation and something may not grow as well as I like. But what I do know is whatever I eat from there is just about as pure as you can get. And in fact, a lot of times when I'm working in the garden, I will just, pull a tomato right off the plant and just eat it. And, knowing that I don't have to worry there's any pesticides or herbicides. So, yeah, that's kind of been a hobby of mine for a while. And fortunately, Tina's a wonderful cook and canner, though sometimes I think she wants to shoot me with when I bring in like 2 5-gallon buckets of tomatoes and say, what are we going to do with these? So, but anyhow, we've got a lot of enjoyment from growing our own food.
That's awesome, Dr. Fred. How amazing. I think it's fun to kind of have good hobbies and get outside and enjoy that. So good for you. Good for you.
And
Well, I know
another
go
just
ahead.
side on that is, just having your hands in the dirt is so important. I mean, we really need to get back to nature. And I mean, not only I think physiologically getting those dirt bacteria on your hands and getting maybe a little in your mouth, but also just a psychological thing. I mean, we as human beings are meant to be, in touch with the earth. And, it's amazing how many people, if they stop and think about it, may not have touched dirt in forever. I mean, they're always have shoes on. They don't go hiking in the woods or whatever. And it's really important to kind of, as we say, get back to nature.
That's true. That's true. Well, I know that you have a passion for phytonutrients, and I know the pillars here at 3 really attracted you when you were talking about sourcing. And I know that our product line as a whole, has been streamlined into basically 6 different components that most of humanity faces daily, like aging and nutrient gaps, immunity, toxin, removal, mobility, those types of things. And we've kind of brushed on over that. But I want to to talk a little bit more, in your opinion, just about this sourcing and why is that so important, the sourcing and the curation? And then we'll move on maybe to some of the absorption, and we can talk a little bit about why is 3 different there. Would that be okay?
Absolutely. So I think, there's so many amazing things about the 3 products. First of all, to begin with, they're all 100% natural. There are no artificial anything. What you're dealing with is just food that is being put in a form that is highly physiologically effective. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But, one of the things Dr. Dan Gubler, our chief scientific officer, and his team does is literally go around the world looking for medicinal plants that may be of value in terms of various health benefits. But when they do find these raw materials, and a very important thing is that we spend over $3 million a year on third-party testing to assure that they are exactly what they say and there's no adulterations. You have to be so careful with things like this that you don't get pesticides, herbicides. Heavy metals are a huge problem, even radionucleotides. So they spend a lot of money to show that these natural substances that they curate from around the or obtain from around the world are actually of the highest quality. But then the next step, which I think is very important, is the way they put them together. A lot of times when you buy a supplement, even if it's of high quality, it may be only one thing. Like a good example is curcumin or turmeric. It's a very good anti-inflammatory, but yes, and our Revive has curcumin in it, but it also has a wealth of other things, black cumin seed, boswellia, several other things. And what Dr. Dan and his group does is they put these together in a way that you get the maximum physiological benefit. And I like to think of it as a symphony. Each one of those is an instrument. If they're played by themselves, are very beautiful to listen to. But when you put them all together and you have a symphony, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So the curation part, where they carefully select different things and say, these will all work very well together, I think is very unique in the industry. And then the last thing to talk about, which I think is what absolutely sets us apart, is our advanced delivery technologies. And this is really the essence of 3. And to just kind of give you a little background history, our chief scientific officer, Dr. Dan Gubler, he got his PhD for organic chemistry from California Institute of Technology, which is one of the premier organic chemistry departments in the country. And then he worked for, I think, 15, 17 years in the pharmaceutical industry, working on delivery technologies. And what these are used for in pharmaceuticals is the typical thing would be something like chemotherapy. You give an IV infusion of chemotherapy. If the compound does not make it into the cancer cells, it doesn't do any good. So he worked on ways to enhance the absorption into the cells of these pharmaceuticals. And he had the brilliant idea, why don't we use these for nutraceuticals, for natural substances, and hence brought these to the nutraceutical world. And right now we are using, I think, 12 or 13 different advanced delivery technologies to enhance the absorption of these compounds. And the problem with many natural substances, again, to use turmeric as an example, is if you take turmeric orally, you only absorb about 8% of it out of your intestinal tract and ultimately into your cells. The other 92% just go out the other end. And, though that 8% does have an effect, with the advanced technologies, in particular with turmeric, they've been able to drive that up to closer to about 35 or 38%. So like a 4 times improved cellular absorption. If you look at all the products, everything has a higher absorption than you would see with just the natural product. I got a good one is glutathione, which is in the Eternal. It has basically no intestinal absorption. If you drink glutathione, it's not going to be absorbed at all. But with our technologies, it's markedly absorbed. Usually the way you get glutathione, which, by the way, is a very good antioxidant, is you have to get an IV infusion, which is obviously expensive, time-consuming. But with our technologies, you can just take it in a capsule form, and it will end up in your cells doing what it's supposed to do. So, to kind of review, Three goes around the world looking for the best medicinal plants that can have physiologic effects for people. They then carefully put them together in the way that they're going to work better as a sum than each individual part. And then once they have that, they then use technologies that allow these nutrients to get into your cells. And one last thing on that, I've spent my whole career saying to patients, you are what you eat. And I think that is absolutely true. I mean, probably the number one determinant of health is nutrition, but that's really not quite true. It's not you are what you eat. It's what your cells absorb. And if you're eating the most wonderful things, but the vast majority of it is just going out the other end, then it really is not doing you much benefit. So that in a
Well,
nutshell is why three is such an amazing group of products.
Well, that's really well said, Dr. Fred. Thank you so much for that. On the screen here is a third-party absorption study. I know it was done in vitro in a test tube, and you were talking about Revive and some of the absorptions here. But what's amazing to me is that even with Eternel, it's almost 9 times more absorbable than the organic control molecule. Can you kind of take maybe a minute or two and just break that down for me and for the
Right.
audience tonight?
So this is first of all, this is what we call in vitro study, meaning it's in test tubes. But basically what they showed is on the far right was an organic control of basically what would be the absorption of these natural substances if you didn't use the advanced delivery technologies. And then here is what it is with the advanced technologies. And you can see for every single one of them, it's markedly above the control. And even the Revive, which is the lowest, is still kind of about 4 times higher than normal. And as you mentioned, with Eternal purified collagen, you're getting remarkable cellular absorption that you would not get if you just consumed the pure natural nutritional substance.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yes.
There's another study that I kind of wanted to talk about as well, and I'm gonna put that one up on the screen as well. And this is an epigenetics study. And I know epigenetics has become, the future, if you will, of DNA replication, aging, and things like that. But why is it so important, Dr. Fred? What is the deal today for the average person to understand about epigenetics and what they need to know?
Well, this is one of the hottest areas of medicine, and it's really quite fascinating. And basically, what it's saying is that how we live our lives determines what genes in our body are expressed, whether they're good genes or bad genes. And to kind of, go back 40 years, I hate to say, when I was in med school, we were kind of told that, whatever genes you inherited from your parents, that was kind of who you were. So, if your dad died of a heart attack at 50, well, sorry for you, you're probably going to die of a heart attack at 52. And there's really not a whole lot more you can do about that. But now we realize that is absolutely not true. As a general rule, probably 30% of medical conditions that happen to you, at most 30% is due to your genes. Now, there's always a few exceptions to that, but by and large, the vast majority of what happens to you is all based on nutrition, lifestyle, and all. And I think a very good example of that is smoking. If you're, with few exceptions, if you're not a smoker and you're not exposed to secondhand smoke, the chances you get lung cancer is really, really small. But but if you do smoke, those compounds that are in tobacco can actually turn on cancer genes. So that's kind of the proof that the smoking actually puts compounds into your lungs that turns on cancer genes. And so, with all that in mind, we realize now that how we live our lives is going to either turn on good genes, turn on bad genes, or turn off bad genes. You get a little few, but basically, we're either going to turn on good stuff or we're going to turn off bad stuff. All of the good genes that they looked at were turned on, some of them significantly, as you can see by the percentage increase. And the two bad genes they looked at, which are genes of inflammation, were markedly reduced. So, and if you look at those good genes, they were ones that increase antioxidants, they help with brain function, they improve cellular function. So, at a cellular level, three is actually changing how your genes are expressed. And this is really what you want from any kind of a nutritional product, is that's really what it needs to do. If it's not changing how your genes work, then it's really not doing a heck of a lot.
I mean, that's really amazing. I know that the medical profession has begun to look at that because as we're looking at like precursors, right? Instead of, it sounds to me that a lot of more physicians, including yourself, are more interested in the precursor to disease, so that maybe someone would never end up in your practice because they've
That's
been able to alter or do the best can, right, with natural phytonutrients.
Yeah. It's estimated in the US, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's true in many other parts of the world, that between 75 and 80% of chronic diseases now are communicable. I'm sorry, non-communicable. They're not infectious. They are lifestyle. And, if you look at heart disease, diabetes, dementia, neurodegenerative diseases, etc., they are all due to a lifetime of, nutrition issues, exercise issues. And like you said, if we can intervene in that before they occur, it is so much better for people than, who would rather not have a heart attack, kind of thing.
Right, like everyone, of course, of
Right.
course. I want to talk about too, I know that here we have an accolade at 3 International we're pretty proud of, which is being featured in the Prescriber's Digital Reference. And I know you and I were talking about that when we were preparing for tonight, about what a testimonial that really is. And so I wanted you to expand on that. I know as a physician, you use the PDR. Probably throughout your 35 years, it's gone from a red book to a blue book, and now it's a digital tool. Tell us maybe, in layman's terms, why is that important, and what makes it such an accolade that Three's entire line is in there? What sets us
Absolutely.
apart there?
So a little history, the PDR was known for decades as the physician's desk reference. And I can almost guarantee you that virtually every physician around the world had one either on his desk or on their shelf. And if you wanted to know about any pharmaceutical, either prescription or non-prescription, you just flipped it open and you could read about, doses, side effects, whatever it is you wanted to know. Now with the internet age, it is no longer the physician's desk reference, it's the prescriber's digital reference, so they kept the PDR. But basically, it's every pharmaceutical there. But what's interesting is there are only 22 companies who've been able to get their nutraceutical, and we're a nutraceutical, into the PDR. And we are the only company of the 22 companies that have been able to get into the PDR. We are the only one that has all 6 of our products in there. Now, why is that important? Well, you can't just call up the PDR and say, hey, really like to have my products in there. It would really be good for sales and marketing. You have to go through a very vigorous vetting process where they look at the company, they look at the manufacturing process, they look at the products, are they safe? Are they efficacious? Are they contaminated? So when you get the seal of approval from the PDR, that is a big deal. And the fact, like I said, nobody has more nutraceutical products in the PDR than us, I think really speaks to everything I talked about earlier, which is, these amazing products that are really second to none. One other thing from just a marketing standpoint for your businesses is, physicians sometimes can be a little wary of nutraceuticals. They are, they've been, burned before. They've been told by, the powers to be in medicine that if it's not a pharmaceutical, then, it can't possibly be good. And to be able to go to a healthcare provider and say, just punch in, www.pdr.net. You then type in the full word 3, THREE, and there's a drop-down menu right there with all 6 of the products that you can just click on and gives you information about it. To me as a physician, was one of the things that really sealed the deal to say, okay, these are things that I can comfortably recommend to my patients, but I think also from a business standpoint is something that can really allow you to have a conversation with a healthcare provider.
It's not something that, you can just get in. It's something that your ingredients have to go through, rigorous testing and the FDA and be approved. And so that's quite an amazing thing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really important that, as a brand ambassador myself, and as a consumer of the products, I have an amazing testimony, mostly from using the entire line together as a whole. But I think it's important for, the audience to understand how just different third-party testing and curation and the absorption technologies and all of that is in the sourcing. So do you have any final words on that, Dr. Fred?
Well,
In your opinion,
I could,
there's lots of stuff out there.
I probably could talk forever about it, but I think one thing you hit on is, there's been studies that go, if you go into a healthcare food store where there's lots of different, supplements on the shelves. They found when they take those out and analyze them, 83% of them did not have what they said they had. And either, if they said there was 100 milligrams of something in the product, there was a lot less than that. Sometimes they found none. And then also, as I think I said, we spend $3 million a year on third-party testing to make sure everything's pure. They've tested some of these products and found that they have heavy metals and contaminants and all that could actually be harmful to your health. So, I think what really makes me feel so good about using these in my patients is that I'm very, very confident that they are getting products that are not going to hurt them, that they have been rigorously tested. And, there's the information on file. If anybody's so interested, you can see the third party testing and whatnot. But that to me is very very reassuring.
Yeah, especially it's your license, it's your reputation, it's your recommendation to patients, and just carrying your accolades and MD behind your name that carries weight and much more responsibility. So that's amazing and insightful to know. I think that, we have some folks on here tonight that have had some experience with the product line. So how about we do a few testimonies?
Right.
And I want to start with someone you know rather well, Tina Williams. She is your wife. So you guys have been married 35 years. He calls her his better half. I think I can say that and get away with it, Fred, here. But hi, Tina, how are you?
Hi there. I'm great. Thanks for inviting me on the call.
I'm excited to have you on tonight. Tina, you're a friend of mine. You're a nurse, but you also have an anniversary today that is really substantial. So I want you to be able to share a minute or two just about your story and how has the 3 product line made a difference for you? Because I know on your journey, nutraceuticals and supplementation has been tantamount to the success of where you're sitting physically.
Absolutely. So today is my 15-year cancerversary. And it's kind of funny. I kind of forgot, but I had a friend who reached out to me and said, when are we going to celebrate? It's 15 years. So it's been pretty amazing, but it was actually one of the biggest blessings in my life because it is what started me down this path of looking for really good, clean nutrition and good supplements. Because after I had surgery and chemotherapy and hysterectomy, I was really wrecked. I survived cancer, but I had no vitality. I would take a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day, and I was pretty miserable. So I used another product line for a long time that I thought was really good quality products, and they were good, except for the science never changed. I wasn't feeling the magic anymore. So when we heard about the 3 products and the advanced delivery technology, I was all in. And so we came on as founders also and got all 6 products in my body. And I didn't really expect to feel any difference because, as I said, I thought I was using pretty good quality products and we eat really clean. But I noticed a lot of things, we get used to aches and pains and don't really think much about them until you realize one day that they're gone. And so I had had a shoulder injury for years and I rehabbed it. I chose not to do surgery, but just decided that a little bit of aches and pains wasn't going to change my world until I realized a couple weeks on the products and suddenly my shoulder didn't hurt anymore. And my range of motion had improved. And then I noticed something much to the chagrin of my husband. I struggled with gut issues ever since I did chemotherapy. So for years, I had been treated for a condition called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And the treatment for that is compounded antibiotics that are very expensive. They make you kind of sick when you're using them. And yes, the symptoms of a really sick gut, gassiness, bloatingness went away for a little while. And then they came back and I get treated all over again. And we did this yo-yo for years. And it was probably a month on the products. And I said to Fred, you're not going to believe this, but all of my gut problems are gone. My tummy looks flatter. I don't have the embarrassing gas. I'm not running to the bathroom 6 or 7 times a day. And I've now been on the products a year and I've had no return of my gut symptoms. Now, that to me was huge Then this weekend, I went home for a wedding. I'm from Baltimore, and I hadn't seen some of my family members for many years. My sister-in-law would not leave me alone. She was like, "What are you doing? You are aging in reverse. You look so good. Come on, tell me." Like she was insinuating I had cheated. And I was like, "No, I'm telling you, these products work. These products not only make me feel great on the inside, but it shows up on the outside."
That's amazing. Wow, Tina. Well, happy cancer anniversary, my friend. Good for you. And I
Thank you.
think you look fantastic. You do.
Well, thank you.
You've
I
aged
mean, I
better.
am 60, I'm 62 and I'm on no prescription meds. And I don't know many people that can say that.
No. No, I don't either, but good for you. Good for you. And I'm
Thanks.
sure that's rough having a doctor in the house. Right? Okay. Well, thanks, Tina, for your testimony. That's amazing. And isn't it reassuring to know that the product line is efficacious, it's working, and it's absorbable, and we have people who are having these amazing stories of things of how the product line is changing their life. The next person I want to introduce you to is a friend of mine from Virginia. Her name is Jennifer Seven, and I'm excited to invite her on the Zoom tonight. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Oops. Okay, I
I'm
thought I
so
froze
great.
for a second.
Thanks for joining tonight. I wanted to just have you share a little bit about your story and how the free product line has really made a difference. I know you've had some blood work done, and there's been some really good changes. And so, we're not claiming here to treat or diagnose or cure any disease, but for your personal testimony, share a little bit with the community about the product line and what you love about it.
I will. Thank you, Cori. I'm excited to be here. So I was actually introduced to the products because I am a health coach, and I've had my own weight loss clinic for many years. And I'm always looking for really good products to use for my clients. But of course, I always want to try them myself. Well, a little bit about my story. About a year or so ago, I got really, really sick. And I would say it was COVID. I never tested positive for COVID, but it had all of the characteristics. I had high fevers, muscle aches, just sick as sick could be. And it took a while, but I got over it. But about 3 months later, my hair started falling out like crazy. And I'm like brushing it, and my brush is full of hair. My shower is full of hair. My husband's going, "What in the world is that in the shower?" It leaves my hair. And that was quite devastating. And I'm sure all the ladies out there listening, our hair is so important to us. Well, it was just falling out like crazy. I found myself wearing the baseball cap, wearing scarves. And then it got to the point where I was actually wearing a wig, and it gave me, tremendous empathy for anyone that's been through chemo or anything else that would cause you to lose your hair like that. And I was trying these supplements that are out there, biotin and Nutrafol and all this stuff, and just not really enjoying that. And I talked to my dermatologist. She says, "Yeah, I'm not a fan of that." So then I found these products, the 3 products, and I said, I'm just going to take them all. I'm all in, and whatever I can do to make myself feel better and get my hair coming back. And the collagen that 3 has is phenomenal and incredibly absorbable. And then the Eternal, the multivitamins, all of that was so helpful. And my hair started coming back. And it was such a great day when I went to my hairdresser, who had seen me through this whole journey. And he was like, "Oh, look, your hair is coming back. I think we can actually cut it again. I think we can start to put layers in it." And he said, "I think it's actually coming back better than it was before." And I just almost fell over because I'm like, okay, the only thing I've really done are these supplements. So that was so gratifying. And so if you could see my before pictures, you would be kind of amazed. So this is the hair that has really been coming back after all of this time. And along the way, I had my annual physical prior to all of this happening, and my doctor was like, "Yeah, your cholesterol is creeping up. I think we're going to want to put you on medication." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take those medications. I can do this myself." I started taking these supplements, and I was quite amazed actually, because I wasn't doing a lot on my own to really regulate that. I had said I was, oh, I'm going to diet, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to be better. And I had gotten married and was just having a lot of fun, like way too much fun. And so it was time for my next physical. Yeah.
We call that married weight, right?
Yeah, married weight.
Yes, yes,
Life is fun, you know?
yes.
So went in for my next physical. It was in December. Of course, I don't know why I did it on a Monday because, you know, of course, the weekend was always too much fun. And I thought, okay, whatever. I'm going to go in. I'm going to face the music. I know my doctor's going to be like, yeah, I'm right. You know, it's up. We're going to put you on the meds. And so I got my results and I was astonished. Again, you could have picked me up off the floor because my cholesterol had actually come down so significally. And you know, I would
That's
just say,
amazing.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
let me stop you right there, Jennifer. 'Cause
Okay.
that's a showstopper. I want to get Dr. Fred weigh in on this here for a second because she's talking about taking a product line, you know, and being married and being somewhat conscious of her diet. But can you weigh in on that? What do you think's happening there?
Well, it's hard to say, and of course, just remember these products cannot treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure any illness. So we have to be careful about what we say. But certainly, when you look at the products, there are several things that could potentially have a positive effect on your cholesterol. First of all, if you look at Vitalite, it has vitamin B3, which is niacin, which has been shown to have an effect on cholesterol. Also, in the Vitalite, there's a superfood blend, which is a bunch of different greens that could possibly have phytosterols in it. I don't know that for sure, but certainly greens have a lot of these so-called phytosterols that can help to drive down cholesterol. My favorite product, Revive, as we talked about, turmeric or curcumin actually have a good cholesterol effect. And then if you look at Purify, that has pectins in it, and pectins are known to take down cholesterol. So, there's at least 4 different things I can think of off the top of my head from these various products that could be having a positive effect on people's cholesterol.
That's amazing. So these are
I was delighted. I mean,
they're natural.
literally.
Yeah. And these
I was
are
doing the happy dance.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, congratulations to you, Jennifer. And what's amazing, these are phytonutrients that are growing and being sourced from around the globe. And with these delivery technologies, they're taking a natural good thing and it's having great effect on people. So thank you so much, Jennifer, for sharing. That's just outstanding. Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. And now in closing, Fred, what you say would be, the number one, I don't know, give me the top 3 things that people should do maybe to, help support their wellness, not just necessarily what products do they take and whatever. We realize here it's the collective 3 line that everyone is so excited about. We've talked about absorption, we've talked about efficacy, we've talked about the pillars. Just in closing, give us maybe 3 things that you would tell me if, as a friend, what do I need to do to support my genetics and do all those things? Will you do that for me?
Sure. Well, there may be a few more, but obviously, I think it goes without saying, quit smoking is probably the number one thing you can do. But apart from that, I think the 2 real biggies are nutrition and exercise, and eating a healthy diet. And there's different views on nutrition as to what is the ultimate diet. But I think the number one thing that you cannot find one nutritionist in the entire world that would disagree with this is quit eating junk food. What is killing people is highly processed food. It's estimated in the United States that 70% of all calories consumed are highly processed food and, full of white sugar, white flour, high fructose corn syrup. That is the number one thing I think people can do. And then on top of that is just eating more natural food, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, healthy grains, legumes. Basically eating things that are close to the ground and getting rid of all the highly processed things. I think that's the number one thing. And then you can have arguments about dairy and milk and dairy and meat and all that. But I think that eat healthy food and get rid of junk. And then I think the other thing that is really becoming clear is how important exercise is. You really need to exercise, and especially if you're if you're looking at the long run, I mean, we all want to live a long life. And, it's not living a long life is important, but what you really want is to live a long, healthy life. And, I love the saying, I want to die. I want to die young at a very old age. And I think that's true. But in order to achieve that, it just isn't nutrition. You have to be moving your body and keeping it strong. And, especially if you look at, what is the cause of demise of many older people? It's falls. They fall and they break a hip, and then they are never the same. And that's the beginning of the end. And so much of that is from having a strong body that can withstand a little trip or whatever. So, if I had to say the two biggest things are eat a healthy diet, get out and exercise more. And then, of course, quit smoking, minimal alcohol use, getting good sleep, cutting down on stress. I mean, really, those 6 things, if everybody could achieve those 6 things, then probably most doctors in the country would be out of business.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Fred, so much for tonight. And thank you, all the participants. Thank you guys so much for spending the last 40 minutes.
Can you hear me?
About sharing, and we hope you all have a wonderful night. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.